Hi everyone, welcome to Salesforce Topics channel. Record ownership, organization-wide defaults, role hierarchy, sharing rule. All these techniques comes under managed record sharing. Under managed record sharing, let us discuss on organization-wide default option, that is private. Whenever the owner of the record by default gets view, edit, delete, transfer, share, that is complete access on the record that is created by the user. Under organization by default, we have the following options: private, public read-only, public read-write, controlled by parent. We will see one by one. For service request object, for example, we are going to configure organization-wide level. If I select OWD organization-wide default on the service request object as private, only the record owner would get the complete access and each record will become as a private. That means no other user would be able to access other than owner. For example, if we have 4 records under the service request, only the owners would get the access, not other users. Now let us consider each user has created one record here. And when we apply OWD private on this service records, whomever the owner, they are going to only access, and that record will become as a private, that is can't be accessed by any other user. Hence tech1 user would have only one record's access as he has created only one record. Same way LDR1 would have access on the only one record that he has created. Same applies to tech2. Same applies to MGR. He would have one record as owner and 0 records from the OWD because OWD applied was the private. We have created one record for each and every user. That is, user manager has one record, user LDR1 has one record as owner, and tech1 has one record as owner, and tech2 has one record as owner. Now let's configure the OWD on our service request object. For this demo, we have a custom object, that is service request, wherein we have the following fields like bill amount, city, free service, service request name, vehicle number, vehicle type. We have 4 users, that is MGR, LDR1, tech1 and tech4, and the profiles of LDR1, tech1, tech2 is same, that is VJ service profile, and user manager's profile is VJ management profile. Under VJ service profile, for our object, at the object level we have given read, create, edit, delete permissions. Same way for other profile, VJ management profile, for our object we have given complete read, create, edit, delete permissions, so that these 4 users would have the complete access on the object level, and then we can clearly see the effect of record level access. Configure the OWD, we have to go to the sharing settings under setup, and under this you will find organization wide defaults for all the objects, including the standard objects and custom objects. Here we can edit the organization wide default for our custom object, that is service request. For this service request, we could see OWD options: private, public read only, public read write. Let's keep the private as a default and click on save. Now if you see, for service request, organization default is set as private. Now let's log in as tech1 user, and he would be able to see only his records. And I am logging in as tech1 user. Tech1 user is only able to see his own records, is not able to see others' record. Same way, let's log in as a tech2 user. Tech2 user is able to see his own record, not others. I logged in as LDR1 user, and LDR1 is able to see his own records. And since he is the owner of this record, he would have complete access. I'm logged in as a MGR user, and MGR user is also able to see his own record. Since he is the owner of the record, he will have complete access on this record. The point to be noted here is these users are able to see their own records, but not they are not able to see others' records because OWD on the service request records we have configured as private. Controlled by parent is only applicable to the child objects. When we have master detail relationship on the objects, only the detail objects will have this option controlled by parent. On the parent, we would be having the public, private read-only and public read-write options. At the given point of time, on the parent records object, we can only configure any of the option like that is private, public read-only or public read-write. Please note that this controlled by parent would be only applicable to the child objects. That is, if we have master detail relationship, only for the childs we would get this controlled by parent option. Here we have service request master object and spare parts as detail object. So for spare parts, we would get the controlled by parent option. When you select control by parent as a OWD for spare parts, that means whatever the OWD applied at the parent level, that is at the service request level, that is private, public read write, public read only, those effect would apply to the spare parts. That means whatever user has the access on the parent record, he would ultimately get the same access on the corresponding child records. The fourth option of OWD, that is controlled by parent, will be applicable only to the child objects, not to the parent objects. For example, our service request is the master for the spare parts object. So when we see the options of OWD for service request, we would be able to see only three: private, public read only and public read write. The controlled by parent will not be there as it is the master object, and we have a child object for this one, that is spare parts. Let me go to that object. Spare parts, if you see the OWD, by default it assigned with a controlled by parents. Whatever at the parent level we have assigned the OWD, the same thing is applied to the spare part. For example, ultimately whatever user has the permission on the parent record, he will be having the same permission at the child record when we configure it as a controlled by parent. And for custom child objects, we cannot assign any other permissions other than controlled by parent. In this session, we have discussed the option of OWD, that is private, and in the next session, we will discuss on the role hierarchy. Thanks for watching. We will meet in the next session.